my title is Dealing with Grief. And I know it's not the most attractive title, because the word grief is very loaded with lots of sadness, and no one wants to be sad. It can be quite a challenge to speak about this, because you don't want to hurt anybody when you say something or assume that they feel something when they don't. And it's kind of like treading on eggshells a bit. So with that in mind, I can only say that I'm going to do my best, and I hope that what I say today can be helpful for some of you at least, or if not, most of you. Right, so as we know, today is Remembrance Sunday, and for the longest time I was wondering, why is everyone wearing poppies in November? It's a nice red little flower, but why is everyone wearing it? I don't understand. So not until recently did I really understand what it was about. And it's about honoring those people who passed away in the armed conflict in the First World War, and all the wars with military conflict since then, not just in the UK, but above and beyond that. This day is also known as Armistice Day, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Anzac Day, or even Poppy Day. And this year, when I was taking the bus, it even said underneath the destination of the bus, join us at 11 a.m. for 2 minutes of silence on Remembrance Day, on the 11th. And so I was thinking, okay, at 11 o'clock, I'm going to be silent and I'm going to honor those people who passed. And I was sitting at work in the theatre in London Bridge, where I work once or twice a week. And unfortunately, I got deliveries at 11 o'clock, and people were calling me on the phone, so I couldn't really make a moment. So thank you for letting us have that moment today. Also yesterday, when I was going to the marriage festival, I noticed that there were a lot of people who were quite senior in age, particularly men on the tube, and they were being guided by young people and carers, and one man in particular who held up the whole escalator because he was walking literally like that. And it was just so lovely to see someone taking care of someone much older. Yeah, so I think it's a really beautiful thing to honor someone when they fought or even died in a war for the sake of their country. But one thing that we don't really talk about is all the families of those who passed away. It must have been incredibly difficult for them, and what they had to go through, having someone like their son, their father, their uncle, their brother, their grandfather pass away suddenly, and not having them there anymore. And so I was reflecting upon that, and that's why I chose to speak about grief today, and about dealing with grief. We're going to talk about my experience, and also I'll be sharing some of the teachings from Sonia Moon about what happens after we pass away. So this quote here, I'm just going to read it. There are some things in life that we don't want to happen, but have to accept. Things we don't want to know, but have to learn. And people we can't live without, but have to let go. When I read this poem, I was a bit annoyed. because it was like a slap in the face. But it's so true. Life has taught me that this is true. We feel like we want to have control of what happens to us and the people that we love, but sometimes we really don't. We make plans hoping for a certain future, 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5, 10, and so on. But sometimes things go utterly wrong and messes up all those plans we had. When you lose someone that you love, it can really change the way you think about the future and your whole opinion of the future and about life in general. It is certainly not an easy thing to go through, and I know that some of you in this audience, can vouch for that. It's difficult to lose someone. This picture of my younger brother, Godwin Alexander, he's from Freeland. We were very close when we grew up, and because there's only 1 year in between us, we did a lot of things together, and we bonded. And when I was on my gap year doing the Dunn program, I realized that he was the one person that I loved most in the whole world. This was before Daniel came into my life, so now I love him most. When my brother was 21 years old, I was 22, he suddenly passed away, and it was a shock to the whole family and everyone who knew him, very unexpectedly. And today I don't really want to talk about how he passed away, because I don't want to burden him with you getting that first impression of him. And also, I really don't like to cry when I'm on the stage, so I'm going to avoid talking about that. It's quite painful to talk about, and I can't tell you how many nights I've spent thinking about how he passed again and again, wondering, was there anything I could have done to make it not happen? Were there any things I could do to stop it? What were the last words I said to him? What were the last interactions I had with my brother? It was definitely the most difficult thing I've ever gone through, and I don't want anyone to have to go through that. So for many years, I wasn't able to focus on my happy memories of him. I would only be thinking about the terror and the trauma that was connected to his passing. And instead, I would also be thinking about how much I missed him and how he wasn't around anymore. And many times I would wonder, where is he? What's he doing? Why did he pass? Questions you ask yourself constantly. And at the time, my family had to organize a summer, and doing that made me feel so sad is actually really difficult, and that's what you need, a community to support you to do those kind of things. It was a very beautiful summer. And to be honest with you, I think the way I reacted at the time was maybe not so natural. I was thinking, how can I smile for everyone else so that they can smile? If I could smile, surely they must be able to smile. And I was shoving everything, all my emotions, underneath the carpet. I didn't want to deal with them because they're so painful. But I don't think that's a natural way of dealing with things. Actually, they say that there's no right way to grieve. And I think that's true, because no one can tell you this is how you are going to grieve. Just go to a psychologist and they'll fix you. Go speak to a therapist, or just go for a walk, whatever. It's not always an easy quick fix, unfortunately. Anyway, before all of this happened, before I had lost anyone who passed away, I used to think, when my friend has someone they've lost, what should I say to them? How can I make them feel better? They're stuck in this whirlpool of sadness, and it just goes round and round and round. And frankly, it's a bit difficult to be around them because they're always sad. I was thinking, what can I say? What can I say? And I think I was a bit insensitive sometimes, but not because I didn't know, not because I didn't know what it felt like, but also because I was, I just had no experience what it was like, and I didn't have any professional background in dealing with it or anything. Anyway, so the other day I did a little search online to find out what people say when someone passes away to someone else, and what things you should not say, and what things you should. So I'm going to show you some examples of things that you maybe shouldn't say. Here is a list. At least she lived a long life, many people die young. Or he's in a better place. Or there's a reason for everything. Or aren't you over him yet? Or you can have another child still. That was the most painful. Or I know how you feel. Or she did what she came here to do and it was her time to go. Or be strong. I think I did say one or two of those things. And I didn't mean anything bad. And if you ever had said anything like that, don't feel bad. We just want to help people. But if from now on, I will try also to be more sensitive, and I encourage you also to be, if you do happen to know someone who has had someone who passed, to be saying similar things like this, for instance. You can say, I'm so sorry for your loss. I wish I had the right words to say, just know I care. Or, I don't know how you feel, but I'm here to help you in any way that I can. Or you and your loved one will be in my thoughts and my prayers. Or my favorite memory of your loved one is, I'm always just a phone call away. Or you can give them a hug instead of saying something. Or saying nothing and just being with a person. They say that time heals everything, and I used to believe that was true. But how come then, 5 years later, or even 20 years later for some, or even 30 years later, people are still not healed from those memories and losing somebody. I remember when my auntie said about 2 weeks ago after my brother passed, it may take a year for you to heal. And I was like, how could you say that? I don't want to be thinking about his passing a year from now. It's too painful what I'm going through right now. How could you ever say that I'm still going to be painful 1 year from now? But my experience has taught me that time simply doesn't heal these kinds of wounds. You need time, but you also need to deal with these emotions, because they will not go away. Just like a wound needs to be disinfected, we need to deal with these wounds. We can't just sweep them under the carpet like I mentioned earlier, because emotional wounds, they need to be felt in order for us to move on. Someone once said, healing isn't denying that the pain ever existed. It's just meaning that we know how to move on, and we can still exist beyond that. So time doesn't heal everything, but it can help to put these things into perspective. So when we think of the perspective of time, we're all born, we live, and unfortunately, every single one of us in this room will pass one day. And as much as painful that is, that's just the way it is. And a lot of people think that we disappear, and I choose not to believe that. And neither did Mother Teresa. She said, "Death is nothing else than going home to God. The bond of love will be broken for all eternity." God gave us life. We spend this life on earth. And when our time has come, we continue to live with Him for all eternity. And I think, actually, it is quite a natural process that we all need to go through. Here's some words by Reverend Solomon from the World Scripture too. Human life does not end with the death of the physical body. It continues into the spirit world, where saints and sages and all of our ancestors live as spirit selves. It is a form of human existence of a higher order than life in the physical body. This earthly world, where our physical bodies dwell, is only a minuscule part of that infinite and eternal world, the fundamental world that God created. Now, if this is really true, then we don't need to worry too much about those people that we love, because they still exist, and they are not alone. They are with their ancestors, and indeed friends who may have passed as well. Perhaps they're even helping them in life hereafter. Now, in our movement, when someone passes away, we have a different way of doing funerals. We call them soma ceremonies, as I mentioned earlier, and it's a celebration of the commencement of one's life as an exclusively spiritual being. This is a picture from Hungen's soma ceremony. True Father shared some thoughts and some words on that day in Belvedere on January 7th, 1984. In the secular world, death signifies the end of life. However, in our world, death is like the rebirth, or a new birth into another world, particularly for those who give their life for the purpose of the kingdom of heaven and for the sake of the movement, our special heroes. For that reason, we must not make those occasions gloomy or sad or feel discouraged. Instead, we shall rejoice in the victory of the Spirit in which that life was given for the mission. If we live on earth, if we here on earth become very mournful and gloomy, it is like pulling the person who is going up to the heavens down to the ground. This is a birth from the second universal's mother's womb into another world, just like when a baby emerges from its mother's womb. A solemn ceremony is actually comparable to a wedding, when men and women get married. It's not a sorrowful occasion at all. It's like an insect coming out of its cocoon, getting rid of a shackle and becoming a new body and a new existence, a new entity. That's exactly the same kind of process. In our way of life and tradition, spirit world and physical world are one. And by our living up to that kind of ideal, we bring the two worlds together as well. What an amazing thing to say when your son has passed. I don't understand, or I almost can't relate because it's so above there, the standard of, and understanding of life hereafter. I think it's very different actually when you can see the spirit world, where you can feel it, or when you can't. And when you can't, you go through a lot of grief and struggle and things like that. But if there is a spirit world, we do have hope, and I believe that there is a spirit world. And I also believe that one day, when we meet, when we pass on, we will meet those people that we love. Because the spirit world is a place of love, where we breathe love, actually. Here's another quote from True Father. When those who parted from each other with lonely tears see each other again, they shed tears of joy. If you don't understand this, you don't know what human life is like. And I get these quotes every day in my pocket, in my phone. It's from the Sun and Moon app. You can get it on the Android phones. And it's weird how they always seem to match my day, how I'm feeling, or what I've been struggling about. Suddenly up comes the quote and I'm like, God, really? You're going to speak to me through my pocket? I'm certainly living up to the standard that I hope to receive, but I don't expect it. I think the quote that he's sharing here is reflecting on how ideally we should be having relationships where we really miss people, or we really feel so happy when we haven't seen them for a long time. That bond and a closeness with somebody is very valuable. So, as I mentioned earlier, my brother passed away, and it was on the 3rd of November 2011. And it's also the same date as my niece's birthday. And that's unfortunate for her, because initially, whenever her birthday came around, her uncles and her grandma was sad. And that's not so nice to grow up like that. And every year I would feel extremely sad on this day. But this year, for the first time in 5 years, I felt I'm going to decide to focus on my niece's birthday and not on my brother's passing. Because the passing of my brother does not define who he is, his life, and who he is, and the memories that I had with him. So I decided to celebrate him instead on his birthday, on the 27th of September. I'm bought him a cake and some flowers and lit a candle, and Daniel sang a song with me, and it's been a tradition ever since he passed, and I aim to continue it. And this year I felt like he was smiling back at me when I looked at the picture. He was smiling the whole time along, but I felt it this time. And thinking about the person that he was, I remember things about him that I'd forgotten for a long time. I remember how funny he was, and I know that if you had ever met my brother, that's the one thing you remember about him. Everyone was saying he was such a comedian. He was hilarious, and I know also that he was an artist. He used to do pixel art on the computer. He used to make his own songs, and I was always jealous of him because he got great grades at school without having to study at all. And I remembered my 3 most fond memories of him. I remembered when I and him were playing Monopoly with his friends, and suddenly the lights all went off and we had a power cut, and so we had to play Monopoly in the dark with a candle, and it was honestly one of the best days of my life. Another good memory I have of him was when we were little, sliding down the stairs on a mattress in my grandparents' house. And another one is taking him out to the cinema and going for dinner and talking about really deep stuff. We were watching Harry Potter together in 3D when it first came out. It was very exciting. If there's anything that I want you to take with you today after the sermon is, I hope that you too can start to think about the memories that you have with those people that you love. If they have passed, try to remember the good moments that you had with them, because if we constantly dwell on their sadness and our sadness that we have about them passing, in a sense, I wonder if they're really happy. They must feel quite sad to see us sad. I think they're happier if we are happy too. So yeah, thank you for your patience, listening intently, even though we have the long service today. And I hope that it has been helpful in some way. Thank you.